But the tiny homes that Homes Now Not Later are providing, for me, that's a transitional house or a temporary place where people can get out of the cold. And yet, I would like them to have another opportunity to have more permanent housing.
Well, it's good, but it's really good to get out of the cold and have
And that's why I've been,
community
yeah,
and have a galley and have, place to, everything is there in other buildings.
but that's why I've supported this for so long. There wouldn't have been any villages if the city of Bellingham hadn't supported them doing it.
Mhm.
There wouldn't have been a Winter Haven, there wouldn't have been a Safe Haven, there wouldn't be a Unity Village. Because this is them, we were partnering with them. They are doing, the bulk of the work, but we're facilitating them being able to do that. And we're looking for more partners to do that, so that there can be more of those opportunities. But we also want to spend some of our time and our effort and our money finding permanent housing for people too. So it's not an either or.
I know,
It's a
I know,
both.
I understand that and I'm for that, but I just can't help I'm very resourceful. I've had to be. I fell through the cracks myself. And I'm just looking at the way the money is spent.
Yeah.
And how much money it's costing and how many corporations are involved that have to have huge amounts of money and what actually could be done from my experience volunteering with Homes Now. I'm not representing Homes Now. I'm just here, but
Well, I've asked people to look at the cost per unit because that is important. And when you do a Francis Place or an Eleanor Place, the cost of the unit is sky high. And I've asked those same questions that you just asked for that amount of money. There are different kinds of housing that different people need. In Francis Place, they need supported housing 24 hours a day. They couldn't survive in a Homes Now community. So we have to make sure we're taking care of everybody, not just one group of people who are able to have their needs met in that location. And we have people that need, you were talking about the services they need and stuff. Well, sometimes that costs a lot of money to do that. We are looking at trying to find different ways to build that are less expensive. But everything can't be a tiny home for everybody forever, unless it has more in it than what the tiny homes have. That's a perfect solution to get people out of the cold and to let them form that community that they do, and to have connection with services, and to find jobs or be able to go to work from being warm, and to move on then to more permanent housing.
And they learn a lot, and they learn how to build, and they offer their services eventually. The communities that they've lived in have actually ended up being very glad they were there, because they've contributed. And so
we appreciate that too, because it makes it easier.
I just gotta say, I hope you and the city and the county will take that into consideration, because they're planning 3 more of these villages, and Unity Village type villages for the different demographics. And they are working, so I'm just hoping that people also take that into consideration.
Well, we have, because otherwise we would not have found the last location for them if they had not been successful.
Yeah.
Because our concern is the people that are living there. So we want to make sure that the people that live in now the Unity Village are getting their needs met. That's our concern. And we also want to give other options to people, because they're more.
I think they really are. At least I talked to a lot of them, I interviewed a lot of them, and I've gotten to know a lot of them, so yeah, I think.
And I agree with you. I agree with you. That's why we're still partnering with them.
Yeah. So I want to get to this part about, well, I do have one other question.
Okay, and they just came and told me it's 12:07, so I need to go. But Yeah,
Okay.
but you go ahead and ask me your question. I don't
We
know.
can talk about volunteering. If you'd
Okay,
like.
yeah.
I wanted to ask about what does the city plan to do about the continual ICE presence at food banks and at the courthouse? How are city officials protecting impacted folks that need those services, but are staying away due to fear?
Well, all I know is for the direction that our police have been given and that they have taken is that they don't participate with ICE on immigration-only issues. I mean, they don't. But the city government can't ban ICE from being on public property. I mean, we can't. It is not within our power to do that. So the best thing we can do, which is somewhat against what the present federal policy is not cooperate. That's what we've been able to do, so that we're not contributing to that. We don't want to contribute to it. But we can't tell ICE or anyone, you can't do this, you can't do that. We can not facilitate their actions with people on immigration-only issues, and we don't. And this is long-standing. This isn't something that just happened. We've had that policy when I got here, we had that policy already.
Well, times are changing and man, it's speeding up, don't you think? It's, people are coming together, there's all these new task forces and work groups
Mm-hmm.
and people willing to volunteer. So let's talk about that part of it a little bit.
And the volunteer part that I wanted to talk to you about, because I think when I got here, it didn't seem like people talked to each other much. And I was used to working in the legislature where if you didn't talk to a bunch of people or you didn't bring people together, you never got anything done.
Right.
So I was really excited to see that people in our community really wanted that. It just hadn't happened as much as I thought it should have. But and so I'm happy. I think there needs to be more coordination. There needs to be maybe less little groups and some more groups that work together so that we can implement things rather than, as you were saying, just talk about them. But what I was interested in is we talk a lot about implementing some of these shelters or some of these temporary housing or a bunch of the opportunities we have for people to especially get them out of the winter, get them out of the cold first. And what we seem to run up against a lot is we don't have any entities or volunteers to be there, especially people that have experience like you do, and like people that have worked with Homes Now, or people that have worked with Fountain Community Church or whoever. There's not really a register or a group of all those people, and I think the county's trying to put something like that together now.
Mm-hmm.
But that was what I asked you, if you were just a Homes Now volunteer, or if you were a volunteer for homeless people, and it warmed my heart when you said that. No, you were in it for the people.
Yeah.
Because that's why I'm in it. I'm in it for the people. So, if you have any ideas about how we can work together to make sure that when there's a need, there's a way to get people who want to help connected with something that needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm looking for right now, is that connection.
Absolutely. I was there, Heather Katainen was there, and Heather Dahlberg is another one, and there are many more. There are some that have just worked nonstop, and I can't believe how much they've worked.
Mm-hmm. I can tell because even I am familiar with their faces. Yeah.
Right. There's Carmen Gilmore, and
Mhm.
there's I'm trying to think, the gal that does all the food. She just nonstop bringing food.
Oh, I remember. Dark hair, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No. What's her name? Anyway, I'm sorry. That was very frustrating when they had this place that was temporary shelter at the garden. What they call it, the garden room.
Oh, right.
Last winter, and I volunteered there, and I just felt like, oh my gosh, there are volunteers that could be here. We could help staff this, and why can't we just do this? So that's what I'd like to set up.
Well, and that's what we'd like to too, and I
Right.
think that they need somebody in charge, so that's like why the Opportunity Council is in charge of our winter shelter for the women. So there's someone coordinating that, but then the people that are actually gonna staff it are gonna be more of the Fountain Church, or maybe some of you and your volunteer peers. So I think the county's the one that's putting together the registry.
Yeah, they're putting together a registry for people who will be on call, I believe, for the severe winter shelter. So people
That's
can
all.
come and staff the thing like the Garden Street shelter. But yeah, I could be out of the loop because I didn't come the last couple of meetings.
No, but I think that they've been focusing on that and getting that off our plate, so we can start talking about things that are even more relevant than that, and like more preventative in having
That's
the
right.
capacity, so people don't have to get to the point where it's a severe winter event and they haven't gotten a place to stay, because they should be in before that.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So we can look to see and clarify what the county's doing on the volunteer end, but the city is also interested, as I know the port is interested, in how we're going to staff things that aren't necessarily that severe cold winter emergency shelter, because that's like that, and then we have all this that we need to take care of all the time.
Right.
So I'll just give you a what if, and you can tell me what you think about it. If we had like an open registry, either at the county or at the city, but we had a place for people that volunteer all the time to sign up, so we know who it is that we need to contact, do you think people would be willing to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I thought of who that was. It was Sherry Laptop.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I know who that is. So anyway, that's the part that, kind of made me excited when I talked to you, is that there might be a way to work with, because when we had our little 5-day open, 4-day open shelter down at Maritime Heritage Park, there were a lot of homes now, volunteers coming. We could never fill the place up. We never got enough people, but we had room for more people. But there were a lot of people that were going around trying to pick people up or trying to tell people that there was a place to go. And so I knew that there were people that really cared. And Homes Now has generated just an enormous amount of interest and advocacy that wasn't there before. And I appreciate that. Our community needed it, and I think they did a good job on that. But we now are kind of like when anything gets bigger, it needs a little more organization, just so that we don't waste time looking for a volunteer. We actually know who they are and where they are, and we can contact them, or the county can contact them. So,
Well, I'd love to work on this some
Okay.
more, and so I'll stay in touch with you doing
Yes.
that. And
that's
we
great.
probably better wrap up and
Before they come and drag me out.
yeah, I just before they do. So thank you so
so
much.